Hello everyone, TurtleAxe here, bringing you another AFK Journey video. We had a new trailer that dropped yesterday, which basically showed off a lot more info and footage of the new season of Strife, which will be released in about 5 days on May 10th for server 25 at least, which is where I'm at. Very excited for this. What I decided to do, actually, since most of you have probably already watched this trailer, since it's already been 21 hours since its release, I'm actually just going to as respect for your time, I'm just going to watch, pause, comment, and then keep going. That way we don't watch the whole video and then I'm trying to recall what was being said and trying to backtrack to all the places. So that will make for a more concise video. So as such, I have already watched this video once, but that did raise some more questions, and so I'm kind of watching this for a second time and I'll make some more accurate analysis. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin.
The journey of Merlin and companions.
And this is looking really beautiful, by the way.
They came a long way and finally discovered a new continent seldom stepped upon by outsiders.
Okay, a whole new map.
Ashen Waste.
And that's also the new S-rank mage character.
Ashen Waste is a barren wasteland where not a single
And I love the
blade of
diversity of the
grass
desert.
grows.
Looks really interesting.
Resources are scarce, the climate is harsh, and deadly threats
Got new
lurk
enemies, the
everywhere.
tarantulas, new traps maybe.
These desolate sands were once a
New
flourishing
tribes.
civilization. Now
Okay, that's
lost to
Brutus
centuries
attacking the
of
tribal
conflict.
leader. And Kruger also fighting the tribal leader. I'm assuming that's a tribal
Here,
leader.
Merlin
He looks like
encounters
one.
some new characters from
Okay, that's
Malta,
Elsa.
Elsa and Soren.
That's evil Merlin, imposter
Together
Merlin.
they face the trials of the War Song Festival and risk their
New
lives
character
to
there.
investigate
Yeah,
the
this
sinister
hyena
plots
guy.
of the Adamant Syndicate.
Saturana and Entendre, we're going to learn more about them.
Return to Asperia is
Brutus
still
and
a
Kruger
mystery.
and Soren.
Can he find new clues on this new
Okay, we're
continent?
going to learn about what's going on. Why are they all turning evil or getting corrupted?
Hello, your most familiar Dolly from Noble Tavern.
This is Dolly,
here.
our bartender.
Hear me out. The brand new season, Song of Strife, is about to unfold. I've heard quite a bit of news at the tavern, and I'd love to share it with you all today. Drinks and snacks are getting prepared, and they'll be served on your table in just a while. Before that, let me share the news I've gathered. Magister Merlin is arriving at a whole new continent,
Beautiful.
Ashen Waste, meeting
Love
new
the
companions,
oasis
Elsa
and the
Soren.
spikes in the background.
In the Song of Strife season, they'll go through the unprecedented trial of the War Song Festival.
And this
to
is
prove their
in-game
might.
footage. We
Ashen
see
Waste
the
is
places
most
where you can pick up the
expansive
coins.
desert I've ever heard of.
Gold coins.
The sun sears everything, yet unyielding life continues to thrive here, forming tribes,
So
creating connections,
beautiful.
thriving
Wow.
with a variety of interesting cultures. The War Song Festival takes place every 10 years at the Sunseek Arena.
The Sunseek
Participants
Arena
coming
looks
from
really
different
cool.
tribes. Everyone undergoes multiple trials, all striving for victory.
Mm-hmm.
In the Legend of Dusklord, the champion of the War Song Festival is known as Ultimate Honor, the ultimate glory a tribe could win. Most importantly, who's joining and changing Magister Merlin's journey are Elsa and Soren. Allow me.
So now we're going to
Dolly,
introduce the new
introduce
characters.
To everyone, these two young
This is where I'm
ladies
gonna
from
start
Uru
pausing.
Clan. Let's start with Elsa,
Uh-huh.
the enthusiastic girl. Elsa is an orphan, but she never blames others for what she went through. She's cheerful and helpful, a rock-type mage with a strong sense of justice. Elsa's skill, Stone Barrier, summons the power of the earth to damage and stun her target for a set period of time.
Okay, I want a confirmation on this. She damages and stuns the target. I was trying to remember who stunned Elsa or Soren, but they both stun.
Beyond that, a multi-tile rock pillar will
Okay, so what just happened was that she created a rock pillar, stunned the unit in the front, and pushed the enemy behind. Now, what I'm going to pay attention to now is if the OD behind can still hit Elsa.
form behind the target, which
Still
can
can.
block enemy attacks. Enemies originally located at the tile of the rock pillar will be knocked back. Multiple pillars can exist at the same time, but in limited numbers and can be destroyed.
Okay, and notice how they have some sort of stats down. She is a control mage, which, as I'm looking at this a little more, I'm going to see and cook up how viable Elsa is in, say, like an Aeron team. Because if we look at the current meta right now, it's basically Aeron in the arena team, and then there's basically the Mauler team, Aeron team in arena PvP. That's kind of like the go-to team, and then you'll have some niche teams with Vala or Burial or Diurnal, but they're all ranged, which is why I paid attention to whether that OD behind could shoot over that barrier. So that barrier, it'll help with managing the opposing Aeron's magic defense shred, because Aeron is a one-tile melee unit, so he'll need to go around the barrier to hit you and do the 55% magic defense shred. So I can totally see a scenario where also maybe somewhat of a counter to Aeron teams, because it'll make it harder for the opposing Aeron to do a 55% defense shred, and then also you could end up stunning the opposing Aeron and just makes it so that your Aeron team gets the defense shred and deals more damage and maybe crowd controls better than your opponent. I can totally see that. And then and actually, there was emphasis towards the end of this blurb of the trailer about how she is a control mage. So that suggests to me that maybe they want to kind of introduce a Mauler mage into the Aaron meta team mix, which actually excites me a lot because I think for most players, especially free to plays, they can't really afford to make dramatic shifts in their lineup. Most can't. Like, even the transition from Cessia to Carolina is really Monka-esque for a lot of free-to-plays and low spenders. It'll literally take them days or weeks to do it. And so I do like how they are creating a unit that can kind of fit to existing archetypes and not necessarily try to create their own archetypes like Vala and Floribel. Although I do understand that this might stifle creativity, I'm hopeful that it won't. But this can at least add another flavor, which will make Aaron teams at least diverse enough so it doesn't feel like you're facing against the same exact lineup every single time.
In such a hazardous environment, it's not always the best to strike first. Sometimes it's smarter to stay alive and retreat. And Elsa understands just that. When she releases her ultimate skill, Twirling Rocks, Elsa will move to the target location and cause damage to enemies within range. Then, she will enter the combat stance, during which Elsa will have 2 new abilities. First, she curls up into a ball, quickly strikes the target to cause stun, and then bounces back to her original position.
Okay, so she has a second way to stun as well. And this kind of adds to her control mage status, if you will. I kind of don't like how she jumps towards the enemy because she's kind of making her more prone to getting attacked. That's kind of the problem I'm having with my Scarlita right now, where sometimes, or at least in the beginning when she was minimally invested, when she would slam into the ground stunning enemies, she could get caught in the crossfire from a ranged unit who kills Scarlita after she stuns some of the nearby enemies. So I'm hopeful that Elsa does not end up killing herself a lot of times. We'll see.
Once she acquires her exclusive skill, Dawn of Terra, the more she rolls in the combat stance state, the stronger the subsequent impact, and the more she avoids damage.
Okay, so let's kind of digest that. So they just talked about her EX weapon. There's something about stacks where the more stacks on her, with her EX weapon, the more stacks, the more rolls she does. How does she do the rolls again? I'm sorry, short-term memory.
Bounces back to her original position.
Okay, so why does she stun?
Quickly strikes the target. 2 new abilities. First, she curls up into a ball, quickly strikes the target to cause stun, and then bounces back to her original position. Once she acquires her exclusive skill, Dawn of Terra, the more she rolls in the combat stance state, the stronger the subsequent impact, and the more she avoids damage.
Okay, so it kind of makes me think that the longer the battle goes, the more damage she'll do, and the more defensive she'll get. She'll dodge more attacks. I do kind of like that because there's certain situations where, and this is happening a lot in arena PvP right now, where people are running both Haywin and Damien to stall. And it's really annoying because right now, if you're playing on defense, there's 2 ways you can win. One way is by defeating the enemy, of course, and the other way is by stalling. Because when a match is over and the defender is still alive with some units, they are the one who wins. Which is why Haywin and Damien right now is such a useful combination on defense. Because sometimes the opponent doesn't get the crit rolls they need, and your Haywin and Damien is keeping everyone alive. The timer goes to 0, and then the defender wins. So I can totally see Elsa maybe being in an Aaron team to specifically target those Haywin Damien teams. We'll see. We don't know the damage multipliers yet, but that's where my mind is at right now, because right now I'm kind of Monka-esque losing some matches and like dropping 15 points because I'll attack someone who's weaker than me who has a Haywin Damien Aaron team, and they just out attrition me because maybe they take out a key unit of mine's like Arden because they critted my Arden or something like that, and then I don't have enough damage to push through the double healers.
Secondly, when Elsa herself receives a high amount of damage within a range, she curls up again and hides far away.
Yeah, and I do like that aspect of it when she takes high damage, so I assume it's like when she's in danger of being KO'd. It won't necessarily help her against range units because that OD hardly skipped a beat, but it can be useful against melee units like Aaron or Thorin who are trying to kill her. So I do see that as a plus. And also, she might have some niche role against the Necro Dragon Dreamrealm boss who puts the swamp out. Although it seems to me she is a control mage, and I would imagine that she won't be able to stun the Dreamrealm boss, so I guess that kind of negates that. I don't think she'll be a Dreamrealm character. I think that's what Inkia was telling me last night too. However, she could be a very useful arena PvP character.
Each curl up will consume energy, but when she recovers, she will gain extra shields.
Extra shields. I thought it was seals in the beginning, but shields. Okay, let me listen to that one more time.
Curl up will will consume energy, but when Elsa herself receives a high amount of damage within a range, she curls up again and hides far away. Each curl up will consume energy, but when she recovers, she will gain extra shields. Elsa's other skill, Repel Sweep, can perfectly complement these two control type skills. She senses the vibration of the earth, finding all enemies that have been controlled recently. She'll then create falling rocks above their heads to cause damage. This makes her a control type mage who can create terrains.
Yeah, so even she said it. Yeah, so even Dolly said it. So this will be very interesting. I actually welcome this because Odie, even though he is technically a magic user, a magic damage dealer, but he kind of functions like a Merrily, you know, just doing straight up normal attack damage with poison stacks. I can totally see some synergy between Odie and Elsa, because here's the thing, like right now for the Mauler team, they have a lot of tanks. They have like 3 tanks, which I think is the most in any faction. Maybe, yeah, 3 S-rank tanks, if I'm not mistaken. Brutus, the Rhino, and one more, I think. Well, Brutus is like a warrior that's almost like a tank. And then, yeah, so right now the Mauler team goes Entendre, Brutus, Coco, Odie, and Smokey. But there are times when you don't really need Coco. Maybe you want more offense, and this is where Elsa can be a perfect synergy with Odie, because Odie does do crowd control as well with the poison stacks. So, actually, I'm not sure if poison stacks count as crowd control. It's a debuff. I mean, they count Ardens and Tanglevines as crowd control, but I don't know if it's because it immobilizes the enemy. Actually, those of you in the comment section can clarify this, if the poison stacks from Odie count as crowd control. I imagine any debuff is crowd control, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's just a flat-out debuff.
Now, how about her brother? Elsa's brother, on the other hand, is called Soren. Soren grew up alongside Elsa and is always there to protect her when needed. Even though Soren appears cold, he's exceptionally kind to his own people. He aspires to become the strongest, to protect. Soren's skill, Repel Sweep, gives him the ability to seize opportunities and locate enemies close to his allies or which are being obstructed by terrain. He then deals damage to them with an enhanced basic attack that also knocks back.
Okay, this is really interesting. So, with Soren, so you heard it just now, right? He goes up to an enemy that is close to his allies or close to terrain, knocking them back and stunning them. That is important because I remember later on in the trailer, I couldn't figure out why she said Soren has synergy with Elsa. It's because Elsa creates terrain. So he will go up to enemies with terrain, hit them, knock them back, and stun them. And then along the same vein, I presume that he would prioritize your allies who are being targeted by a nearby enemy. So it seems to me like he would either target a melee unit of the enemies, right? Because only the enemy melee will be close by. So maybe stunning the tank. That's most likely his target, right? Like if, say, like there was a tank and then there was Soren would, you know, usually it's the tanks going at each other, right? So Soren would kind of step in and stun and knock back that opposing tank.
If the target hits any characters, terrain, or stage borders during knockback, it will receive extra damage and a stun. And Elsa. If the target hits any characters, terrain, or stage borders during knockback, it will receive extra damage and a stun. And Elsa could create terrains. Don't they complement each other?
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about just now.
Besides Repel Sweep, Soren's ultimate skill, Whirlwind Swing, also has a similar effect. He selects a tile on the map, leaps, and quickly smashes down, causing damage and a knockback to enemies within range. Similarly, if the target hits any characters, terrain, or stage borders during knockback, extra damage and a stun will apply.
Wow, so it seems like these two units, they have multiple ways of stunning the enemy, and stun is so powerful, it basically makes it so they can't act for a certain amount of rounds, or seconds, and this can make it so, like, you stabilize, right? Like, maybe they were about to KO one of your units, or maybe they were in the process of casting their ultimate or something, or maybe you're stunning a healer to make them stop healing the enemy. This can all be very useful.
Soren is very well prepared, practicing for years for the day to protect Uru Clan. He never doubted moving forward on the path of becoming an undefeated warrior, because his other two skills...
Yeah, increases haste and recovers HP and energy when his HP is low. That's really good, because it doesn't mean... So basically his HP will go low, which will happen a lot against aggressive enemies, right? So he'll attack more, he'll gain more HP or energy to get his ultimate off faster, he'll attack faster, and he recovers HP. I mean, that is all very good. And he can do it for himself. He's a... Oh, and one of my Discord friends said that it has been confirmed that he is a rogue, not a warrior. because the warrior's the axe, if I'm not mistaken, and the rogue is the two knives. So he's a rogue. So, yeah. So he's a rogue that can stun. Quite good. Recover HP, attack faster, recover energy to get his ult off more frequently.
With additional effects.
Increases the knockback distance of the next repel sweep when triggering deflecting swing, dealing extra damage.
When Soren receives a single attack damage that exceeds 10% of his maximum health, his skill Deflecting Swing will reduce damage from this attack by 70%. It will also trigger Repel Sweep once. This trigger does not affect the cooldown time of Repel Sweep itself.
Yeah, so this is really powerful. So what it just said was that when he takes more than 10% of his damage in one attack, let me just re-listen to that actually.
When Soren receives a single attack damage that exceeds 10% of his maximum health, his skill Deflecting Swing will reduce damage from this attack by 70%.
Okay, okay, so it's this attack. So if an attack would bring his HP, take out more than 10% of his HP in one swing, that particular attack will be mitigated by 70%. Wow, that's really good. So I do like this direction, because one of the issues I had with Aaron for the longest time was that he was so easy to die, because he was like a one tile range and who would move in front of the tank. It was so scary. But the way you would compensate for that was heavily invest in Aaron. That way when he applies a shield to himself, he gets a 50% dodge, that sort of thing. But in his case, I do think his ability is actually even better than Aaron's, because you're not relying on RNG, like the 50-50. You're more like, okay, if they're going to do whopping damage to you, mitigate 70% of that. And then also knock them back and stun them. That's really good.
It will also trigger Repel Sweep once. This trigger does not affect the cooldown time of Repel Sweep itself. Finally, his exclusive skill is Dusk Rejuvenation. When his health falls below 50%, the skill activates a mysterious power that strengthens
the swirling
Dusk's
thing,
blessing, increasing his speed and lasting for a set period of time.
And notice how the swirling buff that was around him was still in effect even after his HP went above 50%. So that's a very good thing.
Well, no one would have thought that young-looking Soren would have such great power. Let's hope that in this
That's kind of like a
outside
Shakir
Soren can realize their
in
dreams.
Wolfenstein.
They've been preparing for this for years. In the new Song of Strife season, Magister Merlin, along with Alsa and Soren, will challenge the trials to obtain ultimate honor. This is the highest honor of the Warsong Festival. Throughout the journey, they will encounter interesting treasures and new monsters across Hesperia. This new game mode is called Bestial Brawl. In this newly discovered land, there exists Iron Jaws, an intriguing monster that resides in specific territory and guards it without mercy.
So basically, it's not a new game mode per se, it's just basically there's these guys, these chunky dudes, that will target you and it'll show the direction in which they'll attack, and you want them to break those obstacles. That's the purpose of that.
Until they're expelled from the territory.
So that's how you reach hard to reach areas. You have them try to ram into you, but you move out of the way so that they break the obstacle behind you to access the new area.
However, as the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest. And the safest place is the best hideout for shiny treasures. Let's look at the brand new Treasure Quest gameplay. All you need to do is have a chat with treasure hamsters across the wilds and in some towns and start treasure hunting. For that, you'll need this new item, Loot Detector. By placing loot detectors at various places, you can discover the general direction of hidden treasures. However, the range and distance that loot detectors can reveal is limited.
So this is kind of like a puzzle to get more items, more treasure chests.
So make good use of them. In addition to Bestial Brawl and Treasure Quest, the new season also introduces a special mechanic, Raging Duel. Here, both parties have a value called Raid. By triggering specific conditions, they can accumulate Rage, which, when full, provides the entire team with a large amount of buffs until the battle ends. Raging Duel is a special mechanism that can be experienced in some levels, but not all battles.
Okay, so what I gather from this is, you know how there's like the solo crucible where they'll have certain criteria, right? Where, enemies are immune to attack or physical, or enemies are immune to magic, or, maybe certain buffs are triggered if you do something, like a crowd control on them, or an AoE damage sort of situation. Then I would believe in this mode they would have some sort of criteria like that, like, oh, if you do this sort of magic, if you do like magic attacks or if you do like physical attacks, it'll increase your rage bar more, and then once your rage bar goes to max, then you'll get like certain buffs. This is what I'm guessing this mode will introduce, but I mean, they'll probably come up with something more creative than what I said, but yeah, you have to pay attention to who you are bringing into the match. That way you are being able to, that way you are able to bring the rage meter up faster than your opponent per se to win the match.
So pay extra attention when they're triggered. This new journey is so rich in experiences. But I've heard of more than just these. With the arrival of the new season, heroes will be able to become stronger in new ways to meet new challenges. I would like to introduce to you the all-new Magic Charms. Magic Charms are seasonal, so let's say if they're obtained in the Song of Strife season, they'll be effective for and only for this season. Each hero can equip 3 charms, each of which can provide extra bonus stats. Each charm can be identified as one of these 5 qualities: rare, elite, epic, legendary, or mythic. Wow, look at these charms! They shine through your soul, don't they?
So all these different charms here, like you know how when you go into the Arcane Labyrinth, right? Like every level you go through, you'll get like these stones, right? And these stones, they'll have like a picture of like a shield or like an arrow, like a bow and arrow, or maybe like some sort of health bar looking thing, and they'll provide different bonus effects such as increasing your attack speed, increasing your haste, increasing your physical magic defense, increasing I don't know, your HP. So I think that's what all of these will be, but they're kind of repackaging them in the form of charms that you can actually use across multiple game modes, not just this one. Although the way to acquire these magic charms, as they will explain next, is through Dura's trials, which I think is kind of like Arcane Labyrinth or like the Tower of Light and those other trial towers.
Moreover, if you collect the same or higher quality charms, you can activate the hero's seasonal prowess. The seasonal prowess brought by higher quality charms is also stronger.
Okay, so seasonal prowess, you gain additional abilities.
Prowess. The seasonal prowess brought by higher quality charms is...
Okay, so as an example, legendary set effects current receives 100 energy for each assist or kill of an enemy hero, increasing damage dealt by 15%, stacks up to 3 times, gains a shield that absorbs 200% damage for 10 seconds after the first assist or kill. Okay. So this can create some pretty interesting combinations. You can actually maybe cover for certain weaknesses of a character, for instance, or you can maybe accentuate the damage output of certain characters as well. Like say, with my Arden, I always feel like Monka, he's always dying first in arena PvP. Maybe I can have some charms that will allow him to gain a shield, like in this case, which will help him with his survivability. That way he can keep doing damage, keep entangle vining the enemies, etc.
Also stronger. Getting charms is very simple. You just steal them, like none other than Vala. Just kidding! Where can Magister Merlin find charms? Through the brand new seasonal battle mode, Dura's Trial. Tales have it that Goddess Dura has a deep history with Asperia. Yet, I haven't found more information about this lost past. If you know anything, please tell me.
Oh, yeah, so just to clarify, Dura is the goddess of the land. I think we learned that from the main story. And it's kind of alluding to how with the season, because this new season will come with its own story, we may learn more about Dura as well. I don't know. We'll see.
Back to this new seasonal mode. Dura's Trial is an all-new PvE mode.
Okay, so I know my camera's blocking it, but there's different treasures that you can get. Let me backtrack a little bit. There's Arcane Treasure, and then there's Gale Treasure. And there's also Focus Treasure that turns into Raid Treasure. And let me just move my camera out of the way for, I'm sorry, a brief moment. Oh god. Let's click everything but the one we want. So yeah, Arcane Treasure that goes to Gale Treasure and Ironwall Treasure, and then there's also Focus Treasure that goes to Raid Treasure, and then Cooperative Treasure. And you'll probably notice like the top one, there's a Magic rate up, a Mage rate up, and then another is a Marksman rate up. So I guess it incentivizes you to bring certain units.
Dura's Trial is an all-new PvE mode where you'll find quite a few charm resources. Each tower has its own progress, and you'll get random rewards each time you pass a floor.
And random rewards each time you pass a floor. And also, I did get clarification. Oh yeah, so this is kind of like basically the Trial of Light and whatever.
Own progress, and you'll get random rewards each time you pass a floor.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to...
Each time you pass a floor. Trial is an all-new PvE.
Here we go. Sorry. So over here, this right here, these are the magic charms. I used to think they were summon like hero selector, but no, these are actually the magic charm boxes, or like the materials you get in order to collect certain charms. And here you see the characters that you can bring, and I do see some up arrows here, so maybe they brought characters that met certain criteria, or well, yeah, maybe. This does remind me Oh yeah, and later on it says that they
Hero
open on
where
certain
you'll find
days.
quite a few charm. Resources. Each tower has its own resources. Each tower has its own progress, and you'll get random rewards
Each tower has its own progress. So it's basically legend trials.
each time you pass a floor. This, of course, includes charms for all heroes. Clearing all floors will also provide additional rewards. Charms obtained in Dura's trial provide heroes seasonal prowess, a progression that is easy to manage on a seasonal basis.
Seasonal prowess. So it didn't go any further on it, but it incentivizes you to
Speaking of
clear all the
seasons,
towers.
The timing of Magister Merlin's departure varies in Hesperia. In order to make each journey full of fun, each new season will provide a new experience. One of them is the newly added seasonal skill system this season. Seasonal skill is new content for every new season. In the long run, each new season will bring along new seasonal skill and a different level up experience. When the hero's season level reaches 51, seasonal skill will be unlocked, and its level will gradually increase with the season level. At the end of the season, all season...
Ooh, okay, so something I'm noticing is that with the seasonal skills, it somehow enhances the skills that each character already possesses. Like, I noticed Vala did something slightly different with her animation. Cecia's animation also looks a bit different, like the vines look a bit larger. Oh, and that icon above that, you know how Vala marks an enemy, right? The mark did look a little bit different.
When the hero's season level reaches 51, seasonal skill will be unlocked, and its level will gradually...
Yeah, so normally it's like a gray cloud, but here it's like a purple beacon kind of thing, like a purple star. So that's the seasonal skill.
increase with the season
Oh
level.
yeah, and below her feet it glowed too.
At the end of the season, all
Yeah,
season
and there's
levels
extra
will be cleared and
animations.
converted into essence used for upgrading resonance synergy. To welcome Magister Merlin, who arrives in Hesperia at different timings, certain seasonal progressions will be refreshed every season.
Okay, hold on.
Who arrives in Hesperia at different timings. Certain
Okay, so here's all the game modes that come with the season. So you've got, you've got the AFK stages, of course. You got the Dream Realm, you got Arena, that hasn't changed. You got Dura's Trials, you got Supreme Arena. So this is they'll talk about that next. It's basically Arena across servers where I think it's like you bring 3 teams and you do best of 3. Only the winner gets rewarded, and the loser doesn't lose anything. That's what they said. And it looks like you get 3 attempts because it's 1 out of 3. So I don't know if it means like you get 3 attempts a day. Well, here it says you get 4 attempts a day, which is kind of odd because I think we get 5 attempts currently. But anyways, and then there's still Legend Trial, Honor Duel, Arcane Labyrinth. So basically these are the 2 new ones. And then the AFK stage, it seems like they're having its own icon here now, which is a new addition.
seasonal progressions will be refreshed every season.
Ooh, okay, so let me... move this out of the way. So here's the current rankings, 2,867, and then there's 6 challengers who you can face against. And, sorry, let me fix this. There we go.
In addition, a brand new event, Supreme Arena, will open every Wednesday to Sunday. This is a cross-server Caliber Clash event. Magister Merlin can challenge the higher-ranked Magisters across all of Hesperia in this best-of-3 multi-team mode.
Best of 3, so... they moved too quick. Okay, so... yeah, notice how on the bottom of the screen, there's 1, 2, and 3, right? 1, 2, and 3. So from my understanding, you're going to set 3 different defense formations, so it really incentivizes you to have 3 built teams instead of just 2. Now, for those of you who have been, benefiting from the final push and that sort of thing, you're getting additional rewards. You're probably Resonance 240. You've beaten the AFK stages to, fight side 1, side 2. You probably already have 2 built teams, but here it actually wants you to have 3 built teams. And it seems to me that you set 3 different formations for your 3 different teams, and the opponent has to go through these trials where they have to have 3 different teams to attack each of those 3 defense formations. That's what I'm gathering.
Caliber Clash event. Magister Merlin can challenge the higher-ranked Magisters across all of
So we're on
Hesperia
stage 2,
in this best-of-3
defense formation.
multi-team mode. In Supreme Arena, the stage...
Oh my god, they're so fast. It's really annoying. Okay. Unknown tiles detected on this map. Okay. So this is kind of a new mechanic here. So you see how there's the question marks, right? So this is from your perspective about to attack the opponent. So you can see the first 3 enemies, but you cannot see the next 2 enemies. So it's kind of like I actually like this a lot. This is kind of like Honor Duel, where you select 3, the opponent selects 3, and then there's 2 invisible, right? So interesting. Now, what I'm curious about is actually So I would presume you set your own formations. That way, when you're asleep, the opponent can still attack you. That would make the most sense. It doesn't make sense that both players have to be awake for this to happen. So I assume that this is all preset, and as a defender, you are selecting which 2 units are going to be invisible.
Age of the defensive side changes regularly.
Okay. So it's still the same thing where there's 3 people who you can choose from to attack. You select one of the 3 to attack. And here, the challenger, they have formed 3 different teams. It'll show the team's power, show the team's units, and notice how they're all unique. And I assume you put the spell here. And for one stage, it even is you can make certain characters invisible.
For example, some stages contain asymmetrical layouts or even tiles that can hide heroes.
So not all maps can provide this effect. There's certain maps that have certain tiles that if you were to place a character on that tile, they become invisible. So that's kind of what that is.
Which is very interesting. The winner takes all, and not winning is okay.
Winner takes all, and not winning is okay.
Because there's no penalty here. Finally, the new season will also bring along new artifacts. But what exactly are they? And how will Magister Merlin acquire them? So much to uncover in this season. The Song of Strife season is arriving in the land of Isperia. Magister Merlin and companions will discover Ashen Wastes, meet Elsa and Soren, challenge the trials of the War Song Festival, and form new bonds with Uru Clan.
These maps are beautiful.
Through charms obtained from Dura's trial and a variety of...
Okay, so here is seasonal equipment. So as you can see here, I mean, they're showing it all level 1. I would not be surprised if they made it so that we cannot use... Basically, we cannot bring our own equipment into the new season. We basically, kind of like in Pokemon, where when you finish with Kanto region and you go to the Johto region, you lose all your Pokemon, your Pikachu's magically level 1 again. It's kind of the same idea. Kind of creates a Dota-like scenario, Dota 2-like scenario, where you're kind of starting over, but not really. The effort that you put up until this point into your account's progress will still partially carry over, but yeah, you need to get new equipment, new charms, new spells, or new artifacts. It's pretty cool.
New seasonal skill, the new season is bringing new powers to all heroes. The new Song of Strife season will be available 42 days after the initial creation of each server, the earliest available date being May 10th. What kind of unknowns and challenges will Magister Merlin encounter? It's so very exciting! The drinks and snacks are ready. Timing is just right. Come and have a try, and let me know how they taste, alright?
Is that everything? Okay, that's everything. Somehow I missed the part where they said that at the end of the season, all of it will be converted into like EXP books and stuff. I'm pretty sure they mentioned that somewhere in this video or one of the previous ones. But anyways, I hope that answered a lot of your questions. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the season. It comes out in 5 days for my server, server 25. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.